Hello everybody, welcome to Bitcoin Not Crypto. In today's video, I'm going to talk about why you should get to 0.0021 Bitcoin. I know that seems like an incredibly low amount because of those decimal places, but that is 210,000 Satoshis because Bitcoins can be broken down into those decimal points, and a Satoshi is 100 millionth of a Bitcoin. So why do I say you should get to this amount? And of course, none of this is financial advice, but the reason I say that that amount is a good goal to try to get to is because it's relatively reachable by any one of us. If Bitcoin is trading at 100,000 US dollars per Bitcoin, getting to 0.0021 costs you $210 to get to. This is possible. I could sell this surfboard behind me and get to 210,000 Satoshis. I could start stacking periodically. As my paycheck comes in, I could just throw $10 into a Lightning channel and buy some Bitcoin and start stacking and getting to that goal of 210,000 Satoshis. It is possible. So that's one reason. The other reason is I kind of worked with the numbers a little bit here because we don't actually know how much missing Bitcoin there are. There's projections between basically 1 million and 5 million missing Bitcoin. But for instance, I worked the numbers around here to make it so that 4.2 million coins were lost. This is on the high side, but that means that there are 16,800,000 Bitcoin left over. And I divided that by 8 billion, which is the amount of people there are in this world. And that gets you to the number 0.0021. This is some sort of estimate, right? We can debate how many missing coins there are, but this is an estimate of the average amount of Bitcoin that you could hold. Now, this estimate is actually on the high side, even with accounting for so many lost coins. We could also account for the fact that MicroStrategy almost has 500,000 Bitcoin that aren't going anywhere. These ETFs have 1 million plus Bitcoin not going anywhere, right? So if you account all of that in as well, you're actually going to be above the curve because there's going to be a lot of people that hold a lot more than 0.0021 Bitcoin. So you could be ahead of a lot of people that aren't going to get that. Now, the other reason I say to get to this number, right, I mentioned it's obtainable. And once you have obtained this and you hold it, and over time you realize that it is sound money, that it is an asset going through an adoption phase, and that it is the only thing that we've ever seen with a truly max supply and fixed issuance so people cannot create more of it, you start to see the price appreciate of this 0.0021 Bitcoin that you have. And you start to think to yourself, man, I wish I had bought more of it. I wish I had bought more of it at 100,000 because this thing has gone to 125,000, right? And we don't know when these numbers are going to be hit, but I know with as much certainty as I can have about anything, that the fiat denominated price of Bitcoin over time will go up. And that's because the amount of fiat being created will go up, right? And the debasement of that money is happening. And the increase of supply means the decrease of purchasing power of those dollars. And Bitcoin has its own issuance schedule that does not correspond with this. It does not fluctuate. It is not at the whim of some founder. It is written in code, and that code is basically impossible to change. It can be changed in certain ways, but good luck trying to change things as fundamentally as important as supply cap, issuance, and consensus. This is the most secure asset that you could ever get your hands on. And if you get to 0.0021 in the future, you will have more than the vast majority of people on Earth. At this stage in the adoption phase, at the price point that we currently see in fiat terms, saying to get to 1 Bitcoin is fairly specific and like niche down onto certain types of individuals where that's even possible at this point. The amount of people that is possible for is getting less and less. And I think that the people that could get to 1 Bitcoin at this point, they're the people that will see less benefit from holding Bitcoin than the people that can only get to 0.0021 Bitcoin. If you can only afford to put $210 into Bitcoin, you actually need it the most. Now, I'm not saying you should put your anything at risk here. You don't want to get into debt to even get this amount of Bitcoin. You want this to be extra money that you can literally not touch, and you could leave it for years. What you'll realize, of course, like I've said, is you will want to acquire more. And this can be something that could fluctuate if it has to, depending on emergency situations in your life or whatnot. But I think that you will regret selling any Bitcoin above 0.0021 Bitcoin. The future is bright for Bitcoin. We now have regulation that is very beneficial to it in the United States, which is the biggest financial capital of the world. And we will see that Bitcoin specifically will get adopted more and more. And it is just inevitable. It's the most inevitable thing I've ever seen happen. And we are still early into this because we can buy Bitcoin using fiat. Somebody is still willing to accept your printed money that has no cost of production for something that cannot be printed, that has a huge cost of production and a max supply, and it is transferable across the world with no central organization telling you yes or no. It is permissionless money, censorship resistant, and it is an incredible tool. Now, of course, if you want to get yourself some Bitcoin, the best way to do that, in my opinion, is to use Bitcoin Well. They're a non-custodial exchange, so you'll have to set up a Bitcoin wallet or a Lightning wallet, and you can send fiat to it, and they'll send you Bitcoin directly. So you don't have exchange counterparty risk. They also have non-KYC options available and the lowest spread for a non-custodial exchange in Canada and the US. If you use my link, you'll actually get some free Bitcoin. And of course, the other thing you'll want to do is once you have that wallet set up, you'll generate a seed phrase. You do not want to write that seed phrase down just on paper. Paper can burn, paper can get thrown away, paper is worthless. You want to stamp your seed phrase into something like what Stampseed offers, which is a titanium seed phrase plate, and it will withstand house fires, it will withstand any sort of natural disasters, anything you could throw at it. It's going to withstand it so well. And there's a coupon code that you can use, which is in the description. It's BTC, not crypto. You get some, I think 15% off. BTC, not crypto, 15. You'll actually get 15% off the kit. And the system they have for stamping it is leagues above anything else. I could not recommend both of those two sponsors enough. I use them both. Actually, I buy all my Bitcoin with Bitcoin Well. I store my seed phrases on Stampseed's titanium plates. It's very synergistic that they're willing to sponsor me, considering that I already use their products and they're fantastic. So think about it. Think about Bitcoin a little bit harder and get yourself to 0.0021 Bitcoin.